All right, let's just jump right in. It feels like we are living through this really chaotic moment where finance, politics, and technology are all just smashing into each other. It's messy, it's unpredictable, but this is exactly where the future is being decided.
I know, it sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, doesn't it? But the answer actually connects a massive tech revolution, a historic store of value, and, well, the digital future of money. So stick with me here, because we're about to untangle that exact connection.
So here's how we're going to make sense of all this chaos. We'll kick things off with the mixed signals in the market, then dive into crypto's incredible momentum. After that, we'll see how the traditional systems are reacting, watch the moment they collide, and then finally we're going to zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Okay, first up, let's set the stage. The market right now is sending out some wildly confusing signals. It's really creating this massive tug-of-war between the old way of doing things and the new.
And wow, nothing shows this conflict better than this right here. On one side, you've got Bitcoin, the digital upstart, just absolutely rocketing upwards. And on the other, you have gold, the classic safe haven asset, taking a massive historic nosedive. These are two things that are supposed to be stores of value, and they're moving in completely opposite directions. So what on earth is going on here?
To really get what's happening, we have to take a closer look at the sheer raw momentum behind this new wave of digital money. It's something else.
I mean, just in the last few hours, Bitcoin has been on an absolute tear. First, it smashed through that key psychological level of $111,000.
But it didn't even pause there. Moments later, it blew right past 112.
And then came 113,000. You can just feel the speed, the velocity of this move.
And finally pushing over $114,000. Just an incredible climb in a ridiculously short amount of time.
Now, what's really wild is what this kind of volatility actually means. In just the past hour, a staggering $150 million in crypto shorts, that's people betting the market would go down, they were liquidated, just wiped out. It's a huge reminder that moves like this create massive winners and massive losers.
And listen, this isn't just a Bitcoin story. The whole ecosystem is firing on all cylinders. You've got Ethereum back over 4,100, Coinbase is making huge acquisitions, snapping up Echo for $375 million, and Tether, a foundational stablecoin, just hit 500 million users. This thing is expanding everywhere.
But this crazy surge isn't happening in a vacuum. On the other side of this whole equation, you have the old guard. And let me tell you, we are starting to see some serious cracks appear in their traditional financial and political systems.
So let's go back to gold for a second. That 6.3% drop, that's not just a bad day at the office. It is the single biggest one-day plunge in over a decade, since April of 2013. For an asset that's famous for its stability, this is a seismic shock. It really makes you wonder about its status as the ultimate safe haven, doesn't it?
And it's not just the financial pressure. This feeling of instability is getting amplified by a ton of political volatility, which is just creating this environment of deep, deep uncertainty.
I mean, take this statement right here. Just the possibility of canceling a huge meeting between the leaders of the world's two biggest economies, that sends these ripples of anxiety through global markets. You have to remember, markets hate uncertainty more than anything else.
And on top of that, you have all these conflicting signals about the economy. One minute we hear tariffs could pay down the national debt. The next, the consumer prices are way down, along with some pretty pointed remarks aimed at the Federal Reserve. Now, whatever your politics are, for the markets, this mix of statements just creates a really confusing and unpredictable picture.
So you've got one system surging forward and another one that's starting to show some serious cracks. A collision was pretty much inevitable. And that brings us to the main event, the moment where these two worlds finally meet, head on.
And it really doesn't get more direct than this. The founder of Binance, one of the biggest crypto exchanges on the planet, just comes out and says it. Bitcoin is better than gold. Now, that's not just some technical argument. That is a direct challenge to the very foundation of how the traditional financial system thinks about value.
So the big question is, what does the old guard do? How do they respond to a challenge like that? Well, here you go. A governor of the Federal Reserve is now on record saying crypto is already woven into the fabric of the financial system. That is a monumental admission. It's the establishment itself saying, okay, this isn't some fringe thing anymore. It's here. It's part of the plumbing.
And this isn't just talk. The Fed is actually looking at concrete steps, things like payment accounts that could give crypto firms direct access to the Federal Reserve's own payment system. That would be a systemic shift.
bridging these two worlds in a way we have never, ever seen before.
Now, this whole battle is fascinating, for sure. But to really understand what's at stake, we have to zoom out. Because this isn't just about finance. It's part of a much, much broader technological transformation that's basically rewriting the rules for everything.
Which brings us to the really key question. Is all of this disruption just a fight over what we call money, or where we park our wealth? And the answer, pretty clearly, seems to be nope, not even close. Just look at this. Amazon is planning to replace 600,000 US workers with robots. The same technological force that's decentralizing our money is now automating our jobs on a massive scale. The very idea of what work is being challenged.
And it goes even deeper than that. OpenAI, the company that gave us ChatGPT, is apparently launching its own web browser. That's not just a new app. That's a potential challenge to the very way we find information and navigate the internet, one of the foundational technologies of our time.
So this is where we're left. From money and markets to jobs and information, the old rulebooks are literally being torn up and rewritten in front of our eyes. The question we all have to ask ourselves is, when the dust finally settles, who's going to be holding the pen?